What's up, my doom scrolling friends? It's Chrome, playing Wizard of Legend, one of my absolute favorite roguelikes ever. And I want to try to bring a run home utilizing as many cursed relics as I can. But let's go over my spells I'm using for this attempt first. As my basic attack, it is a Lightning Strike, which can be fired quite rapidly and it deals mediocre damage. One of the main reasons is that I am actually able to stand still, where a lot of other basic attacks get you out of position, and this is a pretty important factor for this run, or let's say for my right click ability. So for my dashing arcana I'm using the water ball. This is because I can push enemies into pits and push enemies away, of course. I figure this is one of the better dashing arcanas, and for the most part I don't like them too much. There might be ones with more utility, but for now I'm using this one. So on the right click I'm using one of my favorite abilities in the entire game called Fueled Berserk, which lets you fire your basic arcana much more often. And as you might understand, standing still is quite important, so I will now just show you how it looks with a spell that gets you out of position. So these ice daggers on my left click are pretty good for Fueled Berserk, but once again, getting out of position is a pretty big disadvantage, as you might run into more and more enemies. So as my Q ability I'm using Obsidian Cascade, which deals pretty okayish single target damage, and that is very useful against bosses. So the combo I have in mind looks roughly like this. And this can pretty much delete boss enemies. So as my outfit I'm using the yellow one because it increases the chances for critical strikes and the critical strike damage. Because I will use the vampire glasses to regen some HP. So here they are, the vampire eyeglasses. Regenerate health every time you land a critical hit. So this means every time you crit, you heal up by 1 HP and only 1 HP. So these vampire glasses are one of the best items in the game, and I have chosen those because running with a lot of cursed relics is already hard enough. So I guess I want to kinda balance it out. So now that these things have been clarified, we can start with the actual run. So there it is, Curse of the Forager. Gain a cursed relic at the start of each stage. Does not apply if inventory is full of cursed relics. This means we will eventually get a total of 7 cursed relics plus 6 from each stage and the one we just picked up. Wallet of Splendor was the first cursed relic it randomized. It lets you buy items with Chaos Gems when you don't have enough gold. So this one is not too impactful as there comes no downside with it. So I was thinking about some stuff at the first spell vendor, but decided to skip it for now. Now this token of elegance, kinda whatever for this run. Now this random drop is absolutely insane as it increases the crit chances for yourself and for the enemies by 15%. So enemies will deal more damage, but we will eventually heal a lot more via vampire glasses. So this might be actually the best drop that could have happened. So I was going over all of these cursed relics and decided to pick the one that increases your damage by picking up Chaos Gems, even though I had no clue what the damage value would be in the end. But then it was just the very first stage, so it might be helpful. So I thought this lunchbox would come in handy, but as it will turn out, it was a bit of a waste. However, the bonus damage for basic attacks was kinda okayish. Also, what is kinda problematic is the fact that a lot of normal relic Also, what is kind of problematic is the fact that a lot of normal relics might be eventually replaced by cursed ones, so I cannot pick as freely as normally. Now coming back to the spell vendor, I had to think really hard about my decision, but decided to take the chess knights, because they deal a ton of damage, can block and stun enemies, and enemies might even start attacking the knights instead of you. But as good as the sounds, they are kinda clunky to use. Also, my decision was based on the drop luck from the runs I did before, where the bosses dropped mostly terrible stuff, so I decided to take control over my fate/RNG. So this laced lightning was technically an amazing drop, but for whatever reason I didn't use it properly and was rather annoyed by it, and there was even an enhanced version at the shop right away. So crazy lucky, I guess. Nothing too crazy at this shop, and once again, relics might eventually be replaced by cursed ones. So what I also like about this game are all the thought processes you have to do in the realms, figuring out the ideal place at the vendors. It's almost like a puzzle game within a run. Checkmated. So this water spell is kinda good, but for whatever reason I decided to go with this electric one. Here I was tunnel visioning on the ancient fountain pen and decided to actually go for it. It will increase the signature damage by 1% every time it is used. Right now I don't know if there is a limit, but probably not. Nothing too crazy at this shop, so I took nothing for now. Yo, so this spellbender offered a tough decision. Upgrading the knight would increase my damage, but evading Sapphire would give me some seconds of iframes. So I skipped the shop for a moment to think about it. Now keep in mind, as amazing as iframes are, this spell does not deal damage. So it can save you, but it can also throw your boss fights because you don't deal enough damage in tense moments. So this golden armor dropped, but I wasn't sure which one it is. The one that would use gold instead of taking damage, or the one that increases vendor prices same as it increases armor. So I left it on the ground for now. Some stupid shield dropped for some resistances against one element, but that's not too helpful right now. So after finishing the realm and realizing the vendor has nothing good to offer, I decided to drop the nonsense lunchbox and pick up the cursed armor. And it was actually the better one. Windboss, Schuh. Nur so wird ein Schuh draus. Sorry, I just made a mediocre wordplay in German. Yo, that's some weirdo interaction with the horsies. So the spell that dropped was kinda whatever, so I better pick the more impactful one and stay with the water one. Now for the last two realms, decision making was getting tougher and tougher as my inventory was now almost entirely filled with cursed relics. But dropping the Sidewinders for the life leech attacks was of course the correct play here. Once again, nothing too crazy at this shop. Yo, so I was crazy lucky with this present room, even though I barely had space in my inventory. So it was kinda tough decision making wise, but eventually I might found the correct play here. By the way, kinda dumb that I still had the stupid token of elegance in my inventory. Totally overlooked that one. So now I have enhanced or upgraded basic attacks now, which was also really lucky. Now these attacks also shock enemies, dealing some bonus damage. Checking once again if everything was correctly played, but I guess so. so I had no clue what the hell the item on the ground was, but I didn't want to take a risk and block another slot in my inventory with a cursed relic and maybe even throw the run away, so I decided to ignore this one. And now to finish this realm, I wanted to make a rather big play, dropping down the vampire glasses for the bonus damage from the mechanical thingy, which will give me plus 20% more damage on my signature move. Boss fight went kinda okay, leading to another somewhat hard decision to make. With this cooldown reduction spell that is already enhanced. But after some testing, I went with what I already had. The last rooms went pretty okay, leading to some needed healing and some more enhancement for my current spells. Yo, this is it. The final boss is coming up, and guys, if you want to see more content like this, feel free to drop a subscription as I'm working on partnership with YouTube. It is still a long road to 1000 subs, but if that quest is finished, I want to start with more speedrun content. Thanks in advance, and I'm already out, so you can enjoy the final fight. See ya in the future.